The autumn air slipped through our apartment window on October 15th, 2022, carrying a crisp edge that mingled with the faint hum of city traffic below, the evening light casting long shadows across the worn wooden floor. I stood in the kitchen, stirring a pot of pasta, the rich scent of garlic and rosemary rising in steamy waves, a ritual I'd come to love with Sarah, my girlfriend of 3 years. Her dark hair, often falling into her striking green eyes, framed a face I'd memorized, her smile, her quiet sighs, and our life together felt like a steady current. We'd moved into this cozy 2-bedroom 6 months ago, its creaky floors and park view a shared dream, the space filled with her laughter and the soft clatter of our dishes. I trusted her implicitly, her touch of comfort, her promises a foundation I'd never questioned. Lately, though, a new presence had woven into our routine. Julia, Sarah's friend, with her blonde curls and quick, infectious smile. She'd been visiting more often, her art supplies cluttering our living room, canvases leaning against the couch, sketchbooks splayed open with bold strokes of color. At first, I welcomed her energy, her stories of gallery openings and late-night painting sessions sparking conversations over wine. Sarah would light up around her, their laughter a duet that echoed to the apartment, and I'd join in with my freelance coding gig aloud, feeling part of their world. But by mid-October, a subtle shift crept in. Sarah's late nights grew more frequent, her excuses vague, like working on a project with Julia, her voice soft but distant. Julia's visits stretched longer, too, sometimes overnight when I was at the office, her presence lingering in the air like a faint perfume I couldn't place. I tried to ignore it, chalking it up to their creative bond. The apartment buzzed with her energy, Julia's bright chatter, Sarah's focused hum as she sketched beside her, and I'd come home to find them curled up on the couch, wine glasses in hand, their heads close as they whispered. I'd smile, join them with a beer, and push down the unease gnawing at me, a quiet voice I couldn't silence. Sarah's touch remained warm when she kissed me goodbye, her "I'll be late," a routine I accepted, but the empty bed at night, the cold sheets, began to weigh on me. I'd lie awake, the city's distant sirens a lullaby, wondering if I was imagining things. Her love for me a certainty I clung to despite the doubts. That Friday, October 17th, everything changed. I'd been released early from a client meeting, the project delayed, and decided to surprise Sarah with dinner. The apartment was dim when I arrived, the curtains drawn against a fading light, and a muffled sound drifted from the bedroom. Sarah's soft voice, Julia's laugh, closer than they should have been. My heart thudded as I set my bag down, the floorboards creaking under my tentative steps, the air thick with tension. I pushed the door open, and there they were, tangled in the sheets, Sarah's green eyes widening in shock, Julia clutching the blanket, her face flushed with guilt. The room stilled, the lavender scent of Sarah's lotion clashing with the sudden silence, and my world shattered. What the hell is this? I managed, my voice cracking, the words echoing in the small space. Sarah stammered, her hands fumbling for words. "It's not what you think. It just happened, I swear." But the image burned into me, their closeness, the intimacy I couldn't unsee. Julia stayed mute, her eyes darting away, and I felt a surge of nausea, the betrayal of physical blow. I stepped back, my hands trembling, the pasta pot forgotten on the stove, its aroma now a mockery. I didn't wait for more excuses. I grabbed my jacket from the hook, the door slamming behind me as I stumbled into the cool night, the park's lights blurring through my tears. The city stretched out, indifferent, its hum a contrast to the storm in my chest. I wandered the streets, the autumn chill biting at my skin, my mind a whirlwind of hurt and disbelief. I'd built a life with Sarah, late-night talks, weekend hikes, her hand in mine, and now this, her with Julia, a secret I'd been too trusting to notice. The park bench I collapsed onto was damp, the wood rough under my hands, and I stared at the ground, the leaves crunching underfoot a reminder of time moving on. I thought of her lies, the late nights, Julia's constant presence, and the pieces fell into place. Her distraction, her distance, the way she'd pull away when I got too close. I needed a plan, a way to process this, to reclaim myself in the wreckage. But first, I had to breathe through the pain, the city's pulse a faint echo to my breaking heart. The night stretched endlessly after I fled the apartment on October 17th, 2022, the autumn chill seeping through my jacket as I wandered the city streets, the park's dim lights blurring through my tears. I ended up on a bench, the wood damp and cold under me, the rustle of fallen leaves a mocking whisper against the silence in my head. Sarah stammered excuses. "It's not what you think," and Julia's guilty silence replayed a loop of betrayal that tightened around my chest. I sat there for hours, the city humming with late-night traffic, the air sharp with the scent of wet earth, my mind a storm of hurt, anger, and disbelief. I'd loved her, built a life with her, and now that life felt like a lie, her green eyes and Julia's curls haunting every memory. I didn't go back that night. Instead, I checked into a cheap motel on the outskirts, the room smelling of stale cigarettes and disinfectant, the neon sign outside buzzing faintly through the thin walls. I lay on the sagging bed, staring at the cracked ceiling, the weight of what I'd seen pressing down. Sarah's touch, her laughter, the way she'd pull me close after late nights. All tainted now, replaced by the image of her with Julia, their closeness a betrayal I couldn't unsee. I wonder how long it had been going on, those late nights, Julia's frequent visits, the project she claimed they worked on together. The thought gnawed at me, a bitter taste in my mouth, and I felt a surge of rage. How could she do this? How could I have missed it? By Saturday morning, October 18th, I forced myself to move, the motel's harsh light revealing the exhaustion in my reflection. I bought a coffee from a corner shop, the steam warm against my cold hands, the bitter taste of distraction as I sat on a curb, my phone buzzing with missed calls. Sarah, over and over. I didn't answer, couldn't face her voice yet, but I read her texts. "Please come home. We need to talk. It was a mistake. I love you." Each word felt like a knife, her love a hollow promise after what I'd witnessed. Julia's name popped up too, a single message. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean for this." But it did nothing to ease the pain. I deleted them all, my hands shaking, and decided I needed space, a plan to reclaim my life from this wreckage. I returned to the apartment that afternoon, the air inside stale, the kitchen still holding the faint scent of the abandoned pasta from last night. Sarah wasn't there, but her presence lingered, her jacket on the chair, her sketchbook open on the table, Julia's scarf draped over the couch. I packed a bag, methodical despite the ache, clothes, laptop, a photo of us from a happier time I couldn't bear to leave behind. The creak of the floors, the view of the park I'd loved, all felt foreign now, tainted by their secret. I left a note, "I need time, don't follow me," short, cold, and placed it where she'd see it, then locked the door behind me, the key heavy in my pocket. Sunday, October 19th. Found me in a friend's spare room. The city's noise muffled to the walls, the air tinged with a musty smell of old books. Mark, a co-worker I confided in sparingly, had offered the space, his quiet concern a contrast to the chaos in my head. I sat on the edge of the bed, the mattress sagging, and let the reality sink in. Sarah's infidelity, Julia's role, the life I'd lost. I couldn't stay in that apartment. Couldn't face her explanations, but I needed a direction. I thought of leaving the city, starting over somewhere new, the idea taking root as I stared at the cracked window pane. The betrayal hurt, a deep wound, but it also sparked a resolve. I wouldn't let this break me. I'd planned my next move, a way to move forward and let the pain fuel my escape. The week dragged on after that Sunday night, October 19th, 2022, the spare room at Mark's place feeling like a temporary cage, the air heavy with the musty scent of old books and the faint hum of the city beyond the cracked window. I sat on the sagging mattress, the fabric rough against my palms, my mind replaying Sarah's betrayal, her with Julia, the tangled sheets, the excuses that crumbled under my gaze. Mark had been quiet, offering coffee and a sympathetic nod, but his presence only deepened my isolation. I couldn't stay here, not in this city where every corner held a memory of her. Our favorite cafe, the park bench, the apartment now a ghost of what we'd built. By Monday, October 20th, the decision crystallized. I had to leave, start over somewhere she couldn't find me. I spent the days planning, the autumn breeze slipping to the window as I scrolled job boards and rental sites on my laptop, The screens glow a lifeline in the dim room. The city felt suffocating, its streets echoing with Sarah's laugh, Julia's voice, and I needed distance, physical, emotional. I settled on Edinburgh, a city I'd visited once. Its gray stone and rolling hills a stark contrast to this urban sprawl. I found a remote coding gig with a Scottish startup, secured a month-to-month apartment lease, and booked a train for a Friday, the ticket await in my email inbox. Each step felt like shedding a layer of the pain, though the ache lingered, a dull throb I carried like a shadow. Wednesday, October 22nd. I ventured out to tie up loose ends, the air crisp with falling leaves, their crunch underfoot a rhythm to my thoughts. I stopped by the bank, closed our joint account, Sarah's name still linked to it a bitter reminder, and opened a new one, transferring what I could. The teller's neutral tone clashed with the storm in my head, and I left with cash in hand. The weight of independence both freeing and terrifying. I visited the apartment briefly, the lock stiff under my key, the silence inside deafening. Her jacket still hung on the chair, Julia's scarf a silent accusation, and I packed more, books, a jacket, the photo I couldn't discard, leaving the note I'd written untouched, a final barrier between us. Thursday, October 23rd. I told Mart my plan, his brown eyes widening over his morning coffee, the kitchen table scarred from years of use. "You sure about this?" he asked, his voice low, and I nodded, the mug warm in my hands. "I can't stay where she is," I said, the word steady despite the tightness in my throat. He offered to drive me to the station, a gesture I accepted, and we spent the evening in silence, the city's lights flickering through the window. I thought of Sarah's text, "Please talk to me," and Julia's apology, both deleted, their pleas a noise I tuned out. The betrayal still burned, but it was fueling this move, a chance to redefine myself beyond their shadow. Friday, October 24th, dawn gray, the train station a chaotic swirl of voices, and the sharp scent of coffee from a vendor cart. Mark helped me with my bags, the platform cold under my feet, the whistle of the departing train a call to freedom. I boarded, the seat hard against my back, the window framing the city I was leaving behind, Sarah, Julia, the life we'd shared. As the train pulled away, the buildings blurred, the autumn trees a streak of gold and red, and I felt a mix of relief and loss. Edinburgh waited, a blank slate, and I clung to that hope, my laptop open, coding a new project to fill the silence. The pain was there, but so was a resolve to build something new, step by step, away from the wreckage they'd left. The train pulled into Edinburgh on Friday, October 24th. 2022, the platform shrouded in a fine mist, the air cool and tinged with the salty scent of the North Sea carried on the breeze. I stepped off, my bag heavy on my shoulder, the station's clamor, announcements crackling, footsteps echoing, jarring against the quiet resolve that had brought me here. The city loomed gray and ancient, its stone buildings rising like silent sentinels, a stark contrast to the urban sprawl I'd left behind. I hailed a cab, the driver's thick accent a new sound in my ears, and watched the city unfold. Narrow streets, Gothic spires, the occasional flash of autumn leaves clinging to trees. This was my fresh start, a place where Sarah and Julia's betrayal couldn't reach, yet the weight of it lingered, a shadow in my chest. The apartment I'd rented was a small flat in the old town, its wooden floors creaking underfoot, the air chilly despite the radiator's faint hum. I arrived late, the streetlights casting long shadows to the window, and unpacked my meager belongings. Clothes in a dresser, laptop on a wobbly desk, the photo of Sarah and me tucked into a drawer, its edges curling. The silence was deafening, broken only by the distant toll of a church bell, and I sat on the edge of the bed, the mattress thin and unfamiliar, my mind drifting to that October night. Her green eyes, Julia's guilt, the note I'd left, "I need time. Don't follow me," all replayed, a wound I couldn't fully close. I wondered if she'd read it, if she was searching, but pushed the thought away, focusing on the task ahead. Saturday, October 25th, I explored the city, the mist clinging to my jacket, the cobblestone slick under my boots. I found a cafe near the Royal Mile, its interior warm with the aroma of roasted coffee and fresh scones, the chatter of locals a soothing backdrop. I set up my laptop, connecting with my new employer, a startup that promised flexibility, and began coding. The rhythm of keystrokes a lifeline. The betrayal still stung, Sarah's lies, Julia's presence. But here, amid the historic walls, I felt a flicker of possibility. I bought groceries that afternoon. The market's bustle a contrast in my solitude. The weight of apples and bread in my bag, a small victory of self-reliance. By Monday, October 27th, I'd settled into a routine. The flat's chill offset by a borrowed heater. The window framing a view of gray rooftops and a sliver of sky. I worked remotely, the startup's projects filling my days, and joined a local coding meetup, the faces new but welcoming. Yet at night, the quiet pressed in, and I'd think of Sarah, her laugh, her touch now tainted, and Julia, her silence a confession. I resisted checking my old phone, the one with her text, but the urge gnawed at me. Tuesday, October 28th, I caved, powering on in a quiet corner of the flat, the screen lighting up with messages. I'm sorry, let's talk. Each one a plea I deleted without reply. The pain flared, but so did my resolve. I wouldn't let them pull me back. Wednesday, October 29th, I walked to Arthur's Seat, the hill's rugged path of challenge under the overcast sky, the wind carrying the scent of grass and earth. The climb was steep, my breath ragged, but the view from the top, Edinburgh sprawling below, the Firth of Forth a distant glint, stole my breath for a different reason. I sat on a rock, the stone cold through my jeans, and let the past wash over me. Sarah's infidelity, the apartment, the note. The hurt was there, a deep ache, but so was a growing strength. I'd left, chosen this, and though the scars remained, I was building something new. The city stretched out, a canvas of my future, and I vowed to paint it with my own colors, step by step, leaving their betrayal behind. The days in Edinburgh stretched into a quiet rhythm by Tuesday, November 4th. 2022, the autumn rain tapping against my flat's window, a soft drumbeat against the gray stone outside. I'd been here 10 days, the chill seeping through the walls despite the heater's hum, the air carrying the faint scent of damp wool from my jacket hung by the door. The city had begun to feel like a refuge, its cobblestone streets and misty hills a canvas for my new life. Coding for the startup, meeting new faces at the coding group, the occasional coffee with Anna, a local artist I'd met. But that morning, as I sipped tea, the warmth of the mug a small comfort, a message from Mark shattered the calm. Sarah's been asking about you. Julia's moved out. Thought you should know. My hand stilled, the tea cooling as I stared at the screen, the flat silence pressing in. Mark's text was brief, but the words hit hard. Sarah's searching for me. Julia gone, a shift in their world that echoed my own upheaval. I leaned back on the couch, its fabric rough against my back, and let the memories flood in. Sarah's green eyes wide with shock, Julia's guilty silence. The note I'd left, I need time. Don't follow me. A barrier I'd hoped would hold. The rain outside intensified, streaking the window, and I wondered what it meant. Had they fought? Had guilt driven Julia away? The thought stirred a mix of relief and unease, a part of me still tethered to the pain they caused. I spent the day walking, the rain soaking my hood, the city's damp streets glistening under the streetlights. I found a bench near the Scott Monument, its dark spire piercing the gray sky, and sat, the cold stone seeping through my jeans. Mark's follow-up text came as I stared at the wet pavement. She's a wreck. Says she loves you. Julia's not talking. The words twisted in my gut. Love after betrayal? I deleted her text, blocked her number. But now this, a glimpse into her turmoil that mirrored my own. I thought of our life, late-night talks, her sketches, the trust I'd given, and the image of her with Julia, a wound that hadn't healed. The rain dripped from my hood, a steady rhythm, and I felt a surge of anger. Why should I care? Back at the flat, the heater's warmth a contrast to the chill in my bones. I powered on my old phone, the screen lighting up with a flood of messages, Sarah's voicemails, her pleas stretching back weeks. I'm sorry, it was a mistake, one said, her voice breaking. Julia's gone, I'm alone. Please call. I listened, my chest tight, the flat's quiet amplify her words, but I deleted them, my resolve hardening. She'd broken me, and her regret couldn't undo that. Yet A part of me ached to confront her, to understand, but I pushed it down, knowing it would only reopen the wound. I needed closure, not her excuses. Tuesday, November 4th, I sat with my laptop, the screen's glow a steady anchor, and wrote an email to Mark. Thanks for the update. Tell her I'm gone for good. No contact. I sent it, the action of Final Cut, and felt a weight lift, though the pain lingered. I thought of my next step, deepening my roots here, maybe reaching out to Anna for more than coffee, using the coding group to build a network. The rain eased, the sky clearing to reveal a sliver of blue, and I stood by the window, the city's lights twinkling below. Sarah's search, Julia's departure, they were echoes of a past I was leaving behind. The betrayal still hurt, but it was shaping me, pushing me toward a life I define on my terms, step by step, in this new Scottish home. The weeks in Edinburgh blurred into a fragile peace by Sunday, November 16th, 2022, the morning fog clinging to the city's stone facades, a soft veil that muffled the world outside my flat. The air inside was warm, the heater humming steadily, carrying the faint scent of the cedar candle I bought to fill the space, a small attempt to make this place my own. I'd been here nearly a month, my routine solidifying. Coding for the startup, meeting Anna for coffee, exploring the city's winding streets with their damp cobblestones and hidden alleys. The betrayal by Sarah and Julia still lingered, a dull ache, but was fading, replaced by a cautious hope as I rebuilt my life. That morning, though, a message from Mark jolted me back. Sarah sent a letter. It's with me. Want it? I sat on the couch, the fabric warm but familiar now, the fog pressing against the window. As I stared at the text, my heart thudding. A letter from Sarah, after my email to Mark. Tell her I'm gone for good. No contact. I thought the door was closed. The flat's quiet amplified my thoughts. The candles flicker a steady pulse, and I hesitated. Part of me wanted to know, her words, her regret, while another part feared it would reopen the wound. I texted back, send it. My fingers trembling, and waited, the minutes stretching as a fog thickened outside, the city a muted shadow beyond the glass. The letter arrived Friday, November 14th. A thin envelope slipped under my door by Mark, the paper crinkling as I held it, the scent of perfume faint but unmistakable. I sat at my desk, the wood scarred and cold, and opened it, her handwriting sprawling across the page. I'm sorry, it began, her words spilling out. How she'd loved me, how Julia had been a mistake, how guilt had driven Julia away. She begged for forgiveness, for a chance to explain, her pen pressing hard on the paper, the ink smudged with what might have been tears. I read it twice, the flat's warmth clashing with a chill in my chest, the memories flooding back. Her laugh, her touch, the night I'd caught them, the note I'd left. I walked to Calton Hill that Sunday, the fog lifting to reveal the city skyline, the air crisp with the scent of wet grass and stone. The climb was steep, my breath visible in the cold, and I sat on a bench, the letter crumpled in my pocket, the view stretching toward the Firth of Forth. I thought of Sarah, her green eyes, her lies, and Julia, her silence, and felt a shift. The pain was there, a scar I'd carry, but her words, her regret, didn't change the betrayal. I'd moved here, built this life. My coding projects gaining traction, and as friendship growing, the city's rhythm becoming mine, and I realized I didn't need her closure. I tore the letter, the pieces scattering in the wind, a symbolic release, though the ache lingered. Back at the flat, the heater's on my comfort, I sat with my laptop, the screen's glow a steady anchor. I wrote a reply to Mark, keep her away, I'm done, and sent it the action final. I thought of my next steps, expanding my app, maybe teaching a coding workshop, deepening ties with Anna and the group. The fog cleared outside, the sun breaking through, and I stood by the window, the city alive below. Sarah's letter, her pleas, were echoes of a past I was letting go. The betrayal had broken me, but it had also forged me, stronger, quieter, ready to heal. I'd found peace here, step by step, and the shadows of their actions were fading into the distance. The early winter settled over Edinburgh by Friday, December 12, 2022, the air crisp and biting. carrying the faint scent of pine from the Christmas market sprouting along Prince's Street. I stood on my flat's balcony, the stone railing cold under my hands, the city below alive with festive lights twinkling against the gray dusk, a stark contrast to the turmoil I'd left behind. It had been nearly 2 months since I'd fled to the city. The betrayal by Sarah and Julia, a wound that had scarred over, leaving me stronger. My life here had taken root, my app project gaining clients, coding workshops I'd started at the local library, and Anna's friendship deepening into something steady and real. That evening, though, a final echo from my past arrived, shifting the last piece into place. I'd been working at my desk, the wood warm from a heater's glow, the screen's light a constant companion. As I coded, the flat filled with the soft hum of the city beyond. A knock at the door startled me, and I opened it to find a small package from Mark, the paper crinkling as I tore it open. Inside was a note and a photo. Sarah's sketch of us from last winter, her green eyes captured in pencil, now returned with a single line from her. I let you go. Be happy. The paper trembled in my hands, the sketch's edges worn, the memory of her laugh and Julia's silence flooding back. I sat on the couch, the fabric soft from use, and let the weight of it sink in. Her final surrender, a closure I hadn't sought but now held. I walked to the Christmas market that night, the cold nipping at my ears, the air rich with the smell of mulled wine and roasted chestnuts. The crowd bustled, children laughing, lights reflecting off the wet cobblestones. I found a quiet corner near a stall, the sketch in my pocket. I thought of that October night, Sarah and Julia, the note I'd left, the train to Edinburgh, and the months since, the pain that had driven me, the life I'd built, her letter, her regret, and now this releasing me. It was the end I needed. I tore the sketch, the pieces falling into a bin, the act of quiet goodbye, though the ache lingered as a reminder what I'd survived. Back at the flat, the heaters warmed the cocoon. I sat with Anna, her presence of comfort as we shared tea, the steam rising in the dim light. She'd become more than a friend, her gentle humor and shared silences a balm to my guarded heart. We talked of the holidays, my workshops, her art, and I felt a peace I hadn't known. The betrayal had broken me, but had also forged me into someone who could code an app, teach others, build connections. I thought of Sarah, her green eyes fading from my mind, and Julia, her absence a closed chapter, and realized I was free. The next morning, December 13th, I woke to snow dusting the city, the flat's window framing a white world, the silence broken only by the distant chime of bells. I stood there, the cold glass against my fingers, and looked out. Edinburgh, my home, its history and hope mine to claim. The past was a shadow, Sarah's release a final gift, and I was moving forward. My app launching soon, a holiday party with the coding group planned, and a smile of promise. The betrayal had been a crucible, and I'd emerged not unbroken but remade. I stepped outside, the snow crunching underfoot, and walked into the day, ready to live the life I'd reclaimed, step by step, in this new Scottish dawn. The winter deepened in Edinburgh by late January 2023, the air biting with a frosty edge, the streets dusted with a thin layer of snow that crunched underfoot as I walked home on January 25th. The flat was a warm haven, the heater's hum a steady companion, the scent of cedar and brewed coffee lingering from my morning routine. My life had found a rhythm, my app gaining traction with a new client, coding workshops thriving at the library, and Anna's presence a quiet joy as we shared dinners and late-night talks. But that evening, as I sorted mail by the desk, a letter from an unknown sender stopped me cold, the envelope's crisp paper trembling in my hands. I opened it, the flat silence amplifying my breath, and read the words, anonymous typed but the intent clear. She's still looking? Watch your back. No signature, no return address, just a postmark from my old city. My stomach tightened, the coffee bitter on my tongue as I pictured Sarah, her green eyes haunted, or Julia, her silence now a threat. I thought her final note, I let you go, be happy, had ended it. But this suggested otherwise, a shadow from my past reaching into my new life. I paced the room, the floorboards creaking, The window framing a snow-dusted city that suddenly felt less safe, my mind racing with possibilities. Had she hired someone? Was it a prank? The next day, January 26th, I met Anna at a cafe. The air warm with the aroma of fresh scones, her smile a brief comfort amid my unease. I showed her the letter, her brow furrowing as she read, the clatter of cups around us a distant hum. "It could be nothing," she said, her voice steady, "but be careful." Her words grounded me, and I decided to protect my peace. I changed my address with the post office, used a P.O. box, and tightened my online privacy settings. The workshops continued, my app progressed, but the letter lingered, a test of the strength I'd built since that October night with Sarah and Julia. By January 30th, the snow thickened. The flats warmed to contrast of cold outside, and I received a call from Mark. His voice was tense. "Someone asked about you here. Said they were a friend. Could be her." The news hit like a gust. The heaters hummed suddenly inadequate, and I felt the old anger flare. I thanked him, hung up, and sat by the window, the snow falling in silent drifts. The betrayal had driven me here, and now this, her persistence or someone's, threatened it. But I wouldn't run again. I'd face it, protect what I'd made, and let the past fade. The city's lights twinkled below, a promise of resilience, and I resolved to hold my ground. The early spring breathed life in Edinburgh by early March 2023, the air carrying a fresh scent of budding flowers and damp earth as I walked to the library on March 6. The city had shed its winter gray, the cobblestones glistening under a soft rain, the trees along the Royal Mile sprouting tentative green. My flat was a home now, the desk cluttered with coding notes, the air warm with the aroma of Anna's homemade bread from our last dinner. The anonymous letter and Mark's call had tested me, but I'd held firm. My life in Edinburgh a testament to my growth. My app launched successfully, workshops bustling, and Anna's companionship a steady light. That morning, though, a final piece of my past arrived, bringing closure. I found a small package in my P.O. box. The paper worn, a note inside from Mark. Last thing from her. Done now. It held a locket, Sarah's, with a tiny photo of us from years ago and a handwritten line. "Goodbye." I've stopped. The locket's gold was cold in my palm. The photo faded, and I felt a rush of emotions. Relief, sadness, release. I sat on a bench near the Scott Monument, the rain pattering softly, the stone wet under me, and let the memories surface. Sarah's betrayal with Julia, the note I'd left, the train to Edinburgh, her letters, the threats. This was her final act, a surrender I hadn't needed to demand, and it freed me. I walked to Anna's studio that afternoon, the air fresh with spring, her paintings vibrant on the walls, the scent of oil paint a welcome change. We talked, her laughter easing the weight, and I showed her the locket, her eyes softening as she understood. "You're free now," she said, and I nodded, the truth settling in. I'd rebuilt, my app thriving with a new contract, workshops inspiring community, and his friendship blossoming into something more. The betrayal had been a crucible, but I'd emerged, not just surviving but thriving, the scars a badge of my strength. That evening, March 7th, I stood on Calton Hill, the city spread below, the rain clearing to reveal a pink sky, the air cool against my skin. I held the locket, the photo a ghost, and tossed it into the grass, the act of final goodbye. The past, Sarah, Julia, the pain, was behind me, their shadows gone. Edinburgh was my home, my app my legacy, and my future. I walked down, the spring breeze a promise, ready to live fully, step by step, in the dawn I'd earned.